Do the live ban list reaction, it just went up. There's no shot there's a real ban list. It's in the news section. Oh, but just go to menu. Oh, okay. Cards forbidden. Totally awesome and Union Carrier. Totally awesome being banned is huge. These two bans mean that Spright is coming soon. Like, I guarantee you, these two bans mean that Spright is coming soon. Because here's the reasoning for these two cards. Spright with Totally Awesome is crazy. Like, that deck is really good, especially if Ronin Tonin is still in the game. So instead of banning Ronin Tonin, they ban Totally Awesome. So that's a good hit. Union Carrier. So in OCG, when they ban Totally Awesome in OCG because of Spright, what Spright would then do is instead they started playing Union Carrier and equipping Buster Lock in OCG. And I think that's what got Union Carrier finally banned in OCG, was that Spright started making Union Carrier and Buster Locking people. So these two hits specifically stop what OCG did with Spright. And because OCG is more or less controlling Master Duel, these two hits are very indicative that we're about to get Spright. Like, these two hits are very indicative of us getting Spright soon, because nothing in the current metagame was abusing these cards. These are pre-hits for Spright. What Spright gonna do now? Runic Spright is the build that you're gonna play. So because these cards are gone, Runic Spright, it's like definitively the best version of Spright, and you just play, like, you just win on card advantage. Like, the deck just has infinite card advantage. And like in the TCG, Runic Spright was really annoying to play against because the deck was really good, but also it just took forever because they never have a battle phase. So their win condition was more or less your opponent conceding because of card advantage, or they win because of time, like in the round. Like, they would just go into Red Resonator. So we're gonna have to play against Runic Spright. The deck is very beatable, but it's gonna take like 20 minutes. It's gonna be long games. Like, it's just gonna be very long games. So let's talk about the grass semi-limit. This is one of the few semi-limits where it's kind of relevant because you're playing a 60 card deck. Let me do the math real quick. 6251 so previously with 3 copies of grass in your deck, you had a 23% chance to open the grass as greener, which meant that like roughly a quarter of the time you were drawing this card, which would make playing a 60 card deck somewhat viable, right? Like 1 in 4 games instead of 1 in 4 games makes worth playing 60 cards kind of viable. But if you semi-limit the card, the odds that you draw a 2 of in a 60 card deck is only 16%. So you only have it's 1 in 8 games now that you draw it. So you only draw the grass 1 in 8 games, which makes playing 60 cards a lot less viable. Usually semi-limiting cards is not like relevant, but when the deck list has to be 60 cards instead of 40, the math becomes significantly more impactful, especially when this card alone is just like the reason the deck works at 60. So this is like a decent hit. I still just think that this card should be banned though. Like, I don't think it should be legal. Semi-limit, there can only be one. Again, semi-limits are irrelevant, but fewer copies of Floodgates I'm always happy about, even though I don't think this is super relevant. It just feels sackier when they have it. Shifter to 2, again, somewhat irrelevant. If you're gonna semi-limit a card for consistency, Shifter's a decent one to semi-limit because it can only work on the first turn of the game. So like, it's just making it like significantly weaker, because like they can always top deck a there can only be one, and that's still annoying. They can't top deck a Shifter, so like this is a decent semi-limit. But again, Floodgate card, so I don't really care. Like, please get the Floodgates out of the game. Limits will be lifted on Pankratops, Memories of Hope, Scapegoat, Jackalope, Double Iris, Gazelle, Eldland. All of those make sense. None of those cards really needed to be on the ban list except for Pankratops. Pankratops to 3 is fucking crazy. Like, that's fucking insane. But at the same time, we're in a best of 1 format, so this card's significantly worse. Like, this card is significantly worse just due to the fact there's no siding. But if there's ever like anytime there's a Master Duel tournament that includes siding, and like in terms of Konami official tournaments, the place where this is most relevant, if you play a Master Duel side event at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, like at a YCS or a Remote Duel event or something, this is super relevant. This is super relevant for Konami sanctioned best of 3 events, because you do have a side deck in Konami sanctioned events and it's your entire collection. But the fact that you can now side in triple Pankratops going second in those tournaments is crazy. Nobody plays those tournaments, so it's not super relevant, at least not for ladder. But so for average player, not relevant. For if you randomly play a Master Duel event at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament on the weird chance that it fires, because like they usually don't get enough players to even launch the event. This is crazy. Yeah, okay, so it's a decent ban list. Really, I think the big takeaway here is that we're getting Spright soon. This changes nothing about the current format. Like that's I think the big takeaway here. This ban list does literally nothing to the current format. None of the current format decks have been hit at all, except for like Flunder with the shifter to 2, but that's not even a real hit. What this tells us is that Spright is coming to Master Duel. That's all this tells us. So I would say like we probably get Spright on the next selection pack.